Fresh from their first foray into Waterdeep's Undermountain, the PCs are joined by their newest member, the thief Rufus, who's been given a room at their Sale Street residence. They also have a visitor, Basil Gilden, who's come to see the party after their return from the Undermountain. Excellent first outing into the Undermountain, lads. Anytime you come out of Hallister's dungeon alive, you are ahead of this game. Rufus is a perfect addition to your group. Remember now, among the adventuring Waterdavian, even the elderly know little truth about the Undermountain. Only those corpses that still lie there can know anything truly. Many who say they've walked the depths of Undermountain and boast about it are liars. Those who venture and return to venture again are not quick to give away its secrets, are you, lads? The rumor we started about Shelley Ember running into the Undermountain with the Dream Crystal has worked perfectly. Your employer, Serena Bellabranta, is convinced you will find her there eventually. Once you venture back into the Undermountain, try and fulfill Manjun's request of raising dead and herding them into the far northwest corner of the first level. Command them to stay there in rooms that look like old temples for our use at a later date. The most important thing is you remain alive. Sometimes in the depth of the Mad Mage's dungeon, running away keeps you alive. Before their next adventure into the Undermountain, Basil asks the PCs to do a favor for him and promises the reward will be worth the trouble. A good friend of his and one sympathetic to their cause and political beliefs has a problem at his estate that requires a group such as yourselves to discreetly handle it if possible. This good friend of Basil's has had an experiment go awry and seems to have given some intelligence to a flesh golem. He then became quite attached to the golem. The golem has since gone on a rampage and my friend has it trapped in the dungeon of his estate. He is too attached to the golem to bring himself to kill it. This wizard, whose name is Obius Iquum, owns a beautiful estate in the North Ward. He has offered to enchant 2 weapons for you, plus 1 permanently, if you can rid him of this golem. The PCs agree and are picked up by a covered coach the next morning. The driver informs them they need to make a few stops on the way to his master's estate. The group stops at a fine pastry shop, where they put an end to a pickpocket working the crowd out front of the bakery, and another stop at Downybeard Tobacconists, where David casts a version of Remove Curse on a naked man in the street, screaming to be locked up before the full moon. The group finally arrives at Iquum's stables and are ushered in for a meeting with the wizard. The PCs await the mage in a beautiful, well-appointed library. Obius Iquum enters through one of the room's side doors, followed by 2 other humans. "Greetings, friends," he says. "I am so happy Basil said you could assist me. I just cannot bring myself to kill Geoffrey. I imbibed him with some intelligence during a few experiments, and he's now lost control. He killed one of my apprentices and attacked me in my laboratory. I barely escaped without harming him. He has truly gone mad." After a few questions by the PCs, the small talk ends, and Obius shakes your hands. "We will show you the entrance to our dungeon. Geoffrey is hiding somewhere there." The group is led through the estate to the dungeon door. As they enter the darkened space, the door is closed and locked behind them. The PCs search the dungeon methodically, and eventually they come to Obius Iquum's laboratory, where the golem Jeff looks like he has just constructed another golem. He refers to this golem as Jim, screaming that they both want to live. Jim and Jeff savagely attack the PCs. After a massive battle and great rolls, the group proves victorious over the constructs and completes the task for Obius. The group heads back to their residence on Sale Street to heal up and prepare for another visit to the Yawning Porthole and Waterdeep's Undermountain. The following day, the group hails a carriage and travels to the Yawning Porthole. A very similar scene greets the PCs as they enter the busy tavern for the second time. Some patrons greet the PCs asking about their first walk through the Undermountain. Several reporters from the Waterdeep Times and Rags to Riches publications attempt to interview the group. A young priestess asks the PCs if they have seen her fiancé, a brave paladin of terror, and his group. Eventually, the group pays their toll of 1 gold pieces to Duran, and they are lowered down into the Undermountain. As the light and noise from the tavern slowly disappears down the 140-foot well to the sandy bottom, the group lights some torches and moves into the tunnels. During this foray, the PCs battle an Etten in the darkened hallways. Attacking it from several sides, the group stops it from doing much damage as they put it down. As they continue to explore, the PCs come across a paladin and his party. Several of the members appear dead and several others nearly dead. The paladin implores the PCs to help them get out of the Undermountain for 1/2 of the treasure they've collected. The PCs come to a quick decision and tear into the injured group. With great rolls and a few fumbles on the paladin's part, the PCs quickly kill all members of the group and strip the bodies. Muzahi animates the group's monk and commands him to guard at the site of the murders. With so much treasure gained and to carry, the PCs decide to pull out of the dungeon for now and identify all of their new magical items. As the group begins getting hauled out of the well, Reinhardt spreads the blood of the paladin all over himself and feigns an injury. They are swarmed by the 2 reporters and are asked lots of questions about their latest foray into the Undermountain, how they came to be injured, and where they got that chest from. The young priestess approaches the group, asking again about her fiancé. She demands to know, how is it you have his sword and shield along with the group's chest? She begins causing a scene, accusing the group of evil murder. Davin casts a fear spell on her. She runs off in terror. Duran, the owner of the Yawning Porthole, approaches the PCs, telling them that she can file a complaint with the Watch if she wants to. No vigilante justice inside this bar. What happens in the Undermountain stays in the Undermountain, lads. The group quickly leaves the tavern and catches a carriage to their Sale Street residence. Muzahi identifies the new magical items, and the group splits the spoils of their latest adventure. Later that night, the group is awakened by scratching on their 3rd floor windows. Several moments later, a wolf can be heard howling nearby, and then a piercing scream of a woman. Until next time.